why I'm here. And especially in this sprint, because I also I have a child. He's 3 years old, and we are also like starting to struggle with how much is enough and how much is too much with with all this technology around him, because you don't want to like hide it from children, but you also don't want to like have only this in their lives. So yeah. And favorite vacation spot, I just took it, like you said, it's a spot. It's just the woods for me. It doesn't matter where it is exactly, but I really, just 2 hours in the woods is enough sometimes, just to feel like you were on vacation, collecting mushrooms there maybe.
And decompress a little bit.
Sorry?
And to decompress a little bit. Once you're in like the forest and the mountains and nature, you tend to like decompress.
Yeah.
All right. Very glad you're here. PK. I like that word. I would say your regular name, but PK.
PK just, it tends to work better.
Yes. Yeah,
cool. Yeah. Just struggling a little with the mural, but hi, my name's PK. I'm brand new to design sprints in general, and then the global virtual design sprint. I'm actually Jason's coworker. He's the researcher. I'm a user experience designer, and I'm at Capax Global, which is a Hitachi company. I've been here for about 2.5, 3 months, so I'm pretty new to the company. I actually graduated college back in May of 2018, so I'm very new to the design world, very new to the design industry. I used to work at a small design studio here in Philadelphia, where we did a lot of museums and cultural exhibits for institutions in the Philadelphia area. So yeah, very new to this, very excited. It sounds like a lot of fun. And we did a sprint with a client, which was totally amazing and completely changed my perspective on it. So very excited to learn how to do it remotely as well.
Cool. All right. Thank you for that, PK.
Yeah, thank you.
Let's see, Jean-Michel Legrand, and I say it very, very badly, but hello. Are you there? I think you have to get off mute, I think. Try that. There you go. Nope, you went back on mute. Try one more time. There you go.
Hi, everyone. Hi, everyone. Yes, you said correctly, Jean-Michel. That's my name. It's my second LDJ. I'm an agile coach living in Switzerland. I'm pretty new to any remote experience. I feel very much concerned about the subject because I have 2 kids, 2 young kids, 3 years old and 1 year old. And actually the eldest, she doesn't use any digital stuff. She doesn't watch TV at all. We don't have TV at home. But there is probably a situation where it can be useful. Like for instance, learning foreign languages. Can be a situation where for young kids it would be useful to use such tool. So anyway, I feel very much concerned about the subject, and I have a question maybe for Tom, because I've lived in Paris for 15 years. Outside of Disneyland, what else did you like about the city?
Oh, you know, we stayed in the park. I have to say we only stayed in because we didn't travel outside this time, but I think we're going to do a better trip next time.
Okay.
I have been before, but it was a long time ago, so I couldn't recall anything in particular. But yeah, I'm looking forward to going back.
And Jean, if you could, what's your favorite vacation spot if you were to go someplace, any place while we're
Yeah, I've picked last time Minorca. It's because it's a small island, nice beaches.
How do you spell it again?
Sorry?
How do you spell it again?
Minorca.
Is it M-I-N-O-K-A?
M-I-N-O-R-C-A. Minorca.
Oh, got it. There you go.
There you go.
Right.
That's it?
That looks amazing. Well,
It is.
all the pictures I'm seeing look really good in terms of like the water, so it looks great.
And it's for real. I mean, it's not only on picture. It's really a nice little island.
Cool. And PK, I forgot to ask you, what's your favorite vacation spot?
I was gonna say Costa Rica. I'm in the process of looking for a picture. I'm perusing my Instagram for it.
Okay. How about this one? I'll give you a few different ones. There's this. And it looks like they've got waterfalls. They've got tons of waterfalls. You can go here. Another one. There you go. That one's
Oh yeah, no, that's entirely what Costa Rica looks like. It's amazing.
cool. All right. Now you just let's stare at that for a while, and you'll be there in a second. Okay, I think that is everyone on the call currently, unless I missed anyone, but I believe we are set. The next, so after introductions, we're going to go straight into the idea or challenge that Jason submitted for this particular one. So Jason, why don't you take a few minutes to kind of explain what was the thinking around this particular challenge or this particular idea, and kind of give some context about it.
Yeah, so much like the folks have indicated on this call, I've got 3 children of my own, 12, 9, and 3. This is obviously a big problem for us, especially with my 12-year-old son. It's a struggle as a parent, because you have to, at least for me, and this is everybody else has their own perspective, but as a parent, you have to realize that culture has changed, and the way that these kids communicate now is online, and they do a lot through their Xboxes and their PlayStations and any other type of digital media, right? So that world has shifted since I was 12 years old, and while realizing that they spend, I think I even clocked my kids' time was just ridiculously obnoxious last week. And even with limits and caps, I have a Disney Circle in the network room where I could limit his time and whatnot. It's a constant struggle. And by sitting online all the time, they're obviously not working out. They're not living a healthy, active lifestyle. So it's a constant struggle that I know that some others have indicated. So what do we do? What do we do in response to that? It's only going to get worse as AI or AR gets more entrenched in our lifestyles, and so how do we respond to that? And so this is the challenge. I don't know if anybody else has any life experiences that they would like to add to that, but I think it's a pretty self-explanatory one.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I have a 7-year-old, but we have our own system in place too. But part of that is tied into his behavior at school. So they have a color coding system depending on what he does during the day. If it's green, everything's good. Yellow is he had some attitude problems, and everything else below that. So it's green for screen, but even then it's measured, like it's how much he can have exposure to. Anything else that's off. So
yeah, we've tried lots of different things like that as well, and it's again it works. You're wrong, it works, but it's a struggle, right? Because these kids, that's one of the ways that they communicate. So, so yeah, it's a tough challenge.
Well, speaking of the communication, one of the things that I've noticed with my kids, which was different from just like having an iPad or whatever to play games or whatever, watch YouTube videos, is their social day continues after school online.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a difficult challenge to tell them you can't connect with your friends anymore, because that FOMO feeling for them is huge.
Yeah.
So they feel like they're excluded, that they're the outcast, because they can no longer participate in that ongoing conversation that's going on after school, well into the evening, unfortunately. But that's the pressure that they feel. It isn't just, I'm not wearing the right clothes. It's I'm not part of the conversation. And by the time they get to school the next day, they're already an outcast because they didn't know what happened last night online. It's tough.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I think Ken summed it up much better than I could. Yeah, I mean, like my son doesn't have a phone, and he's outcasted because of that. So yeah, it's a tough challenge.
Any other comments or questions for Jason? Nope. Okay. So for people who have never done this before, this is going to be brand new. I will be guiding you through each activity that you see within the mural. You'll find me kind of summoning you to basically focus on particular activities. I will stress that there are no right or wrong answers with this. So don't feel like you have to have the exact solution or the exact how might we or whatever it may be. Just kind of go with the flow. Let the process kind of work itself out. If you have questions or problems with the working with mural or you have some difficulty with it, do speak up and I'll try to help where I can. But for the most part, the only thing I've seen that's been problematic sometimes has been the computer itself not being able to tackle a lot of the visuals, but that's only usually with older computers, so we should be okay. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to start out with a section to the right of the problem panel called Things That Are Working. So when you think of the digital lifestyle for children and what you're talking about with promoting good screen time, a healthy lifestyle, maybe balanced, I want you to take 2 minutes and kind of write out in this section in a digital card all the things from your particular perspective and your experience that are working. To do this, all you have to do is just take your mouse cursor over one of the top of these gray cards and just double click on it to start writing on it. And then once you're done writing, you can either hit enter or you can just basically select in the white space to deselect it. But go ahead and start from the top and work your way down towards the bottom. When one row is completed, just start another row. And we'll give 2 minutes for everyone to kind of work this out. And this is a practice exercise for you to kind of get used to mural and also to set the stage for what we're going to be doing in the next section. And like I said, if you have any issues at all with working with mural or it's not responsive, then do speak up. Or if you want, you can private chat me in Zoom, either way. Also for reference, when we do these activities, if you need more time to get something done or to finish your thought within a particular activity, you can always speak up and say, hey, I'd like 1 minute more. And it's really easy to do that in mural, just to basically add it.
By the way, Robert, I like your rodeo imagery there.
That's actually Sandy Lamb. So everything you're seeing here is all Sandy Lamb production. This is entirely her work.
Thank you, Sandy. Great job. I know she's not here, but
I know, but she'll listen later. And all the templates you're going to be using in the Global Virtual Design Sprint are pretty much her creation. So she has gone as expected usually, because I know her, just way over the top. Just used her experience of system design and went whole hog with it. So if you're working on a digital card, go ahead and wrap that up. When you're done, go ahead and click anywhere outside of it to deselect your card. Now take a quick look over what everyone has kind of put in here in terms of what people think things are working with when it comes to digital lifestyle for kids. Now you're going to kind of, what, as they say, put your hat backwards and think of all the problems that are currently, people are currently experiencing with the issue, which is, and I'll reframe it, it's reducing screen time and promoting a healthy lifestyle in children. What's, from your perspective, are things that are falling short, that need work? We're going to give another 2 minutes for this one. Again, same dynamic. You basically double click on a card to write out what you think is problematic about digital lifestyles for children and their computer use and so on, or their screen time. Put all that down in there and we'll give you 2 minutes to kind of work out in your mind what those things are. We have 30 seconds left. Okay, if you are working on a digital card, please finish it up and deselect it. You can do that by hitting enter or selecting anywhere outside of the white box to do so. I'm now going to take the cards and I'm going to go ahead and give it a copy and transfer it over to the right. And I'll explain what's going to happen here. Just give me a moment. Okay, so what we have here, and I'm going to summon everyone to kind of take a look at what I'm doing, is we have all of our cards that we wrote over on the left in terms of the problems. Now, some of these may be duplicates. Some of them seem to be similar, but what we're going to do is something called affinity diagramming. Now, if you're not familiar with it, it's fairly simple. It's just basically a categorization exercise where you can do one of two things depending on your preference. You can start clustering similar items together down in this gray area here and kind of separate them out. So maybe these two are the same. Just click and drag and bring them all over. When you find 2 or 3 that are similar, you're going to double click on the group name and the gold card here and put in something that kind of fits that category. And you put in like, say, like screen time or something, whatever it may be. You put that in there for other people to consider and for yourself. And once you have a group name that fits, you start dragging and dropping these particular squares underneath. Now, don't worry so much about duplication. We're going to do a last minute kind of Q&A to look at the cards and figure out where they go. And for reference, this is one version of affinity diagramming we're going to be doing. A different one we're going to be doing a different exercise is affinity clustering, if you've ever heard of that, where we're going to concentrate on the groupings first and then give them tags. But for now, go ahead and get started. Go ahead and drag those cards where you think they should go. Put a category underneath them if you think there's a proper category for some of the cards. If you run into a category that has 10 or more cards, consider breaking that down into smaller subgroups, especially if it's easier to kind of delineate between one type of cards or the other. There is no time box to this. This is just when everyone feels they've put the cards in a proper place. One last thing to know is that if there are cards that don't fit a category, you don't need to force it. Just keep them down here in the temporary space for obstacles problem cards, and they can kind of live in a nice little blue box until we're ready to go to the next step. And I will remind everyone, if you have an issue or concern and you don't want to voice it directly to the group, just use Zoom's private chat and call me out by name. And just select my name and then message me there. And that could be for if you need to step away from the computer or if you need to leave prematurely for another reason. Those are all ways and reasons to kind of keep the flow of the group going, but let me know about your situation.
Sorry, Robert, I broke the rule. I added another one.
You what?
I added another one.
Oh, you had another card. All right, turn off your video. No one can look at you anymore.
Right? Sorry.
It's okay. All right. This is just part of the learning experience with this, so it's totally fine. Okay, so I think we're landed on a pretty good set. The next thing to do is take a kind of look at the cards a little closer in the rows and see if there are a couple that are very, very close in meaning. If you see a couple that are, go ahead and click on 2 of them and change their color to something so you can draw attention to it, and just let me see if there is something where one card needs to be eliminated or they both can stay, but it's just to be aware that there's a very close similarity between the 2. I'll just take about 30 seconds to do this. So it looks like there's built to be addicting, social media addiction, and digital addiction. Yeah, it's kind of all speaks to the same thing. I would elect to probably get rid of digital addiction and built to be addicting and put social media addiction and this one, and just keep the colors so that we know that there's very similar in nature. Does anyone have any objection to that?
Works for me.
Okay, we'll go ahead and do that. And bring this up. And again, this is just the different colors just to show that it's similar in nature. You can still vote on one or the other, but probably don't put one on each. We'll go through a voting stage. And I apologize for all the Slack updates. In fact, I'll probably kill it because I don't think there's anything going on in Slack I need to know about.
You're a busy guy.
It comes to the territory of doing something like this, so it's good.
So the one thing that Mural has not come up with yet, I wish they could, is a way to group more effectively.
Yeah, or they do assembly of rows and columns, but they could get a little bit more involved with it. Oh, we got 2. Not enough time to climb on trees, finding the right balance of screen time and an active lifestyle. Yeah, similar, but I don't think they can still vote there, especially if there's a very strong opinion with the group on tree climbing. So I'll leave that in there in case people want to accentuate that. Okay, so what we're going to do now is we're going to go through a voting session. And in Mural, this is fairly simple. You're going to be voting on all the cards that are below here. Oh, sorry, there's one more. Can replace meeting in person, reduces experience with face-to-face communication and conversation. Yeah, I see that. I don't. Yeah, I think one is reduce and replace. It's just the way it's worded. I think I'll leave it at that. But again, it's good to kind of point it out.
Yeah, I
But
almost grouped them too, but then didn't because of the same reasons.
Yeah. Okay. What you're gonna do is vote on the cards below the gold categories. You're not gonna be voting on the categories at all. So just everywhere that's pink, blue, and purple here, as well as the gray. I will say that the voting should basically be 1 per card. If you can do that, you can vote for more than 1 if you want. It's totally up to you. So let's see, we have 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, about 35. We have about 8 people, I believe, on the call. Yeah, so we're gonna make it 835. Oh, my math wrong. Let's do it 5 votes for everybody. We'll do that. So give me 1 second. I'm gonna say which. So you're gonna be voting on which problems are the most compelling to explore in this process. So you'll see a pop-up come up on your screen that will ask you to shift or click on a card to vote on it, shift click to remove a vote, and no one will be able to see your cursor. I'm gonna go ahead and take part in this because I do have an interest in it as well, being a parent. And I promise you I won't put 5 votes on one card to basically skew the results. So you should be in good shape. But go ahead, place the votes on different cards that you think are the most compelling problems to move forward with.
And if you put a vote down and you didn't like that vote, you can hold down Shift and click.
And click on it, exactly. Sorry, I didn't specify that.
I always forget it.
Yeah. Okay. We have a few people still voting. We've got a rabbit that's being very deliberate. We have a snail that's just about done, but everyone else is good. We'll just wait for the rabbit and the snail to finish up their votes, and we'll see where everyone landed. Actually, the rabbit beat out the snail. That's amazing. Okay, so everyone's voted. Let's end the voting session and see how everything came out. It looks like we had one that pretty much everyone kind of centered on, which is finding the right balance of screen time and an active lifestyle. Close second is where's the line between positive and negative impact. Normally that would inform the first, so it's something to keep in mind, but it's not something we're going to move forward with. So after voting's done, I'm going to take the finding the right, this one, balance of screen and active lifestyle. We're going to move it over into the right here. Oh, sorry. If I move it to the right, then I'm going off the reservation. Move it over to the left, and we're going down to reframe as challenge, and I'll bring everybody over in just a second. So the top problem that everyone voted on was finding the right balance of screen time and an active lifestyle. Now, this particular activity is titled as Reframe as a Challenge, and we're going to be using a process called How Might We. Now, if you're not familiar with How Might We, it's going to seem a little foreign to you at first. But what this is meant to do is to take a look at the problem, and instead of jumping straight to solutions or to assumptions on what could happen, you're going to speculate on possibilities. So you're really going to be addressing the problem with an open-ended question that leaves the solution out of it. So I'll do a couple of examples just to show what that might be. So down here with all the cards where there's How Might We's here, and let me drag you over to where you're looking at me. You're going to double click on a card. And for this one, so find the right balance of screen time and an active lifestyle. It's like, how might we see the balance between offline and online for a child? That's one. And again, it's not going to solutions. It's just like, what are some possibilities? Where could we go? Another one could be, if you use just the acronym of HMW for short, if you want to save time, you can go show how screen time and so our screen time affects activity. Oh, I got it. How screen time affects a child's options for fun. So that you're really talking about time management more than anything else, which is what this is meant to address. So go ahead and give it a shot. Work from the top to bottom. I'll add a couple of more rows here. We'll do the token 2 minutes. If you want more time, don't hesitate to say like, Robert, I need some more time to think. And if you do that, that's fine. Just speak up and unmute your microphone. But go ahead and work from top to bottom and put in some how might we exploratory questions that address this particular problem that we voted on. And I will emphasize there are no right or wrong answers. This is just basically exploring the particular problem that you voted on. And while you're doing that, I'm going to take the original card. Just don't mind me. Okay, so we only have 1 minute left. Does anyone need extra time? We have about 10 seconds. Go ahead and wrap up your thoughts. And if you could, finish up your card and then deselect it so we can have a little fun with what we just created. And we're going to do clustering this time. So to break up the way that we kind of do our cards so we're not to be monotonous, we're going to take all the cards we just created. I'm going to move them down to the section here. Now, instead of putting them in order in terms of underneath these categories like we normally do, I'm going to take them out of the perspective right now. And instead, what I want you to do is to just group them into logical groups. So not necessarily in like vertical fashion, but just kind of drag these particular ones and put them all together if they seem to kind of be in the same space. So something like this. I'm just putting them arbitrarily, but kind of do that so they're in the same space and not linear like it was previously. And this is just to shake up the way we kind of like look at our stuff. So again, kind of group them into small little pockets. Once you get done doing that, I'll bring some of these back down again here. We'll bring them over here. Go ahead and take one of these and just basically double click on or drag them over to a group and just double click on the name and kind of put the name right there. And again, I put these over here, but I was just doing it for an example. So you can move these on the right-hand side here. Unless somebody put those in a group. Okay, if they look like they're in groups, go ahead and take the group names and kind of go like this and put them right next to one another and give it some sort of name that makes sense. Just like this. And that over here. And I'm also going to ask later on which you prefer between affinity diagramming or clustering. Okay. I think this looks pretty good. As before, to kind of look at some things that seem very, very similar and highlight them with the same color. So we can take a look and see if one of them needs to be kind of removed because they're too similar. And I'm going to move this over here so it's a little bit closer to the others. No? Okay. So same thing as last time, only this time the how might we that we're going to be doing is more aligned with which how might we is something you want to ideate on. So think of it in terms of which of these how might we statements are ones where you want to explore the solutions for and that you think are the good questions, the right question to ask in relation to the idea, challenge, and the top problem, which I'll put right down here next to it for reference. So I'll put it right here as a way of referencing these two in relation to the how might we's. So just vote on the how might we's, the gray cards, and don't vote on
What do
the
you think about those green ones there, Robert? They're pretty
children
similar.
to understand pros and cons. Show kids why this is downline too much. Yeah, they are so very similar. The pros and cons of screen time seems to be a more balanced view of it. The other two on the right under education seem to be into the negative effects. So it's like either one or the other could be removed. I think probably the share the negative effects puts a conclusion on something that may be open-ended, and that showing online if they have too much online screen what may occur. This one is more like, oh, pros and cons of making the choice. Does anyone think
I'm
otherwise?
good with that. I'm good with that. So you're saying, so let me play that back. So you're saying delete that one.
Yes, delete this one, and then these two are the ones that remain.
I like it.
Anyone thinks otherwise, just speak up. So one more time.
Totally fine.
Okay. One more time, the idea and challenge is here. The top problem is here. You're trying to find the how might we that aligns with this and something that you want to start creating ideas against. Just vote on the gray and the green cards. Don't vote on anything else that you see here. Looks like we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 15, 17, 1 by 8. Really, it comes down to 3 votes for everybody. So start a voting session is which? We would like to ideate on. Create ideas for. Again, so 3 votes. Vote on anything that you see here outside of the gold categorical cards and the idea challenge and top problem. Just leave those out of your equation and vote on any 3 cards you see down here. Okay, just about done here. We have a shark, a snail, and a raccoon. Whoops. Now a snail and a shark, they're almost done. Okay, let's see how everyone voted. And it looks like the one that kind of came through with 4 votes and 3 unique voters is how might we help children embrace digital tech as part of an active lifestyle? And the other one that was a close one was how might we encourage kids to be away from online without anxiety? So for the purposes of this exercise, we'll move the top voted and the most voted how might we forward. And we'll go ahead and take that one. Give me 30 seconds to get everything in place. All right. Hang on a minute. I have to unlock some elements to make it work. Okay, thanks for being patient and waiting for me. So now we are currently in the ideate without discussions area, and I'll bring everyone over so you can see what I'm seeing. What we're going to do is look at the how might we just worked on. So how might we help children embrace digital tech as part of an active lifestyle? So we're kind of following down the pattern of where we started, which is reducing screen time and promoting healthy lifestyle, finding the right balance, and then helping children embrace digital tech as part of an active lifestyle. Now here's where you can go a little crazy and start thinking of the ideas that would answer this question. Now you want to concentrate on quantity more than quality. Don't get stuck too much on trying to think of the perfect solution, because right now that doesn't really exist without context. You just want to put in practical, easy, crazy, out there, bold, amazing, maybe things that don't even make like logical sense, but just kind of stretch your brain muscles a bit and start double clicking on where it says a solution and start putting in some ideas you have, even if they seem far-fetched. Because what it will do is it may, because you're going to work on the edges and the periphery, it may give you some ideas you never would have thought of. So we'll take 2 minutes for this. Start at the top, work your way down to the bottom. Again, don't worry so much about being right or wrong. Just go whole hog with putting in some ideas that seem interesting or bold or out there. It's something that would be interesting to do for a design sprint, perhaps. I think I'm going to add an extra minute just to kind of really saturate the space with ideas. And this is also an activity where you can be very, very specific. You don't need to be as general as you were with the previous exercises. You can get really down to brass tacks about where you think the solution could go. Okay, if you are working on digital card, go ahead and wrap that up. Right. Thank you, Anonymous Dale, whoever you may be. Now I have a question for the group, and you can use your microphones for this, or you can use chat either way. What I would like to know is between the two diagramming techniques we have used here, are you more aligned with affinity clustering or affinity diagramming? Affinity diagramming, again, being you put things in categories vertically versus affinity clustering, where you kind of bring them all together in clumps and then put categories on them. In this particular group, what would you prefer to do?
I'm all for a bit of clustering. I think it's a bit more chaotic and exciting.
Okay. We got one vote for clustering. And let's see,
Two votes. I think you got one in the chat too.
See, I got cluster, a whole bunch of cluster. 3 clusters. Need one more to basically make it official in terms of the majority.
Sure, why not?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also clustering, I think, because in vertical you already give it an order, and that's what I don't like.
Okay. So all right, so let's go to town and cluster these things. Go ahead and take them and make them messy. Drag them down into groups in this white space here down below. Kind of read them over and bring them together in small little digital card tribes where they belong. And when you feel like they're ready for getting them a particular name, I'll surface these little group name gold cards from the bottom. Just go ahead and bring them into the picture when you think you have a group together.
There's some really good ideas in here.
Yeah, you're really creative.
Okay, we look like we're getting down to some categories, some groups that seem to have some resonance. Anyone can grab a group name with a card and bring them into the mix. All right, we're getting fairly close. We have just a few more to move. If some of you who are kind of on the periphery waiting for the next step, if you already see some cards that seem very, very similar, let's color those for scrutinizing and see if there needs to be some deletion or some, say, recognition that they're very, very similar. So ranking competition, gamified exercise, reward system, gamification.
Yeah, reward system. But
They're kind of all in the same place. Gamification is an umbrella term for all of those, but they involve ranking competition, gamified exercise. Maybe we can do this. Let me take this one and do something like ranking competition, exercise, gamified exercise, reward system. So it kind of encompasses a lot of different aspects of it. I mean, what do you think?
I like it.
All right. Where'd they go?
I put them back.
Okay. So maybe instead of using it twice, we'll just go, because that's part of the category itself.
I like it.
Okay. Anyone see any other duplicates before we get to voting? And this is the fun part because we're not going to be restricted too much on votes. Right. Okay, so let's see. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 28. Let's see. Do we have 8 people? Let's go for 8. Let's go to the amount of the people that we have in here. So I'll start a voting session. Vote only on the gray cards. You're going to be voting on 8 ideas. And you're going to say which of these are ideas you would enjoy doing a virtual sprint on. Because this is ideas that basically could be exploratory. You may come in something different, but this would be the next logical step into doing something like that. So let's go ahead and hit start the vote. Again, 8 votes. You can put them anywhere you'd like, but please put them on the gray cards, not on the gold cards. Gold cards are meant for categories. And if you want to skirt around the rules a little bit, since we are kind of broadcasting on YouTube, everyone can see my votes. So don't look on YouTube right now. Okay. We're wrapping up, but it looks like Anonymous Raccoon hasn't voted yet. I'm just making sure that that isn't a technical issue. If it is, then do speak up. Still have all 8 participants here. And it could also be a glitch on my end with Mural, but typically what happens when someone is showing all votes, I put a timer on for 1 minute so that if those votes don't decline during that time, I'm assuming there is either a connection issue or maybe it's something on my end where my client isn't showing the proper votes. Okay, we have 1 vote left between a snail and a shark, and the snail wins it. That snail's been beating the shark every time. A very quick snail.
Why is Anonymous Duck having -1 votes? Is this even possible?
That's why I'm saying I think it could be the client's side of Mural kind of glitching a little bit.
Yeah, I was going to say I'm Anonymous Shark and I've used up all my votes, but it still says 1 vote left.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe it's just not counting right. Who's Anonymous Raccoon, by the way? Do you know who you are? Nobody knows? Okay. So we're going to give this 1 minute right there. Let's put it right in front. See if Raccoon can recover. If not, we'll just assume that's Muriel not playing nice.
For some reason, I was not able to vote, but go ahead.
You can't vote, John?
No, I can't. I don't know why.
Try refreshing your browser and seeing when you come back online if it allows you to vote.
Go ahead, Robert.
No, seriously, just try refreshing the page, coming back.
I'm refreshing the page right now, and it is slow.
It's not very agile, is it? Boom. Your seats are.
Yeah, no.
See if you can vote on anything.
Yes, I can.
Yes.
So.
All right. We'll hold the bus for you.
Okay.
Apparently, ducks stole one of Shark's votes. Okay, let's end this voting session and see where it came out.
Thanks.
And it looks like we have a couple of them that had 4 unique votes, but 7 votes altogether. Connect an app and device with Health Monitor app to grant access. Health forecasting, diet and exercise versus gaming and social media time. And embracing a digital switch off as a family or friendship unit, doing it together. Okay, so we're going to take the ones that had 7 and 4 votes, and we're going to put them through a filter. So I'm going to take these 2, and let me look at the results again really quick. I just want to make sure I grab the right one. There we go. I see it. Okay. Just 1 second. Okay, so I'm going to call everyone's attention to a little area down below where we were. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to take these 3 that were top voted and we're going to put them through a potential kind of framework. So basically, there's a scale here where potential is, if a particular solution has high potential, it's going to be more on the right. If it has low potential, it's going to be more on the left. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a card down here somewhere right in the middle here. And the way to do this is that you're going to take your mouse cursor, figure out in terms of potential, connecting an app and device with a health monitor app. Hang on. That was a robocall. Let's go back to, yeah, there we go. Basically take your mouse and circle it around on the potential line here where you think this particular one should go. So when I say connect app and device with health monitor app to grant access, do you think that this particular solution has high potential or low potential in the design sprint? And the way to, and just go ahead and put your mouse cursor anywhere on this line here and let me know what you think. So we have the shark who's pretty high on it, the snail not so much. We've got a few in the middle, so it looks like it's kind of right around here, somewhere around there. Okay, next one, health forecasting, diet and exercise versus gaming and social media time. In comparison to this one that we just voted on, is it have higher potential or lower potential? Where does that sit? So everyone except the shark feels that it should be right around here, and that's where it's going to go. Okay, then finally, embracing a digital switch off as a family of friendship unit, doing it together. Where does this sit in relation to everywhere else? So we got 3 down here, we got 3 over here. It's kind of somewhere right around here, I think. Just because if I do the average of everything, it looks like it's there. So it looks like we got these 3 with health forecasting, diet and gaming and exercise versus gaming and social. Seems to be the kind of the one that's kind of moving forward. So I'm gonna take these, bring them up into the next exercise. So give me just 60 seconds and then I will be ready for everybody. Oops. This one. Okay. All right, I'll summon everybody one last time. Okay, let's do a quick review. So at the beginning of this session, we identified that the idea challenge that Jason put on there was reducing screen time, promoting a healthy lifestyle in children. That manifested into the top problem, which is finding the right balance of screen time and an active lifestyle. We speculated on where we could go, like how we can have children embrace digital tech as part of an active lifestyle. And we went into these three particular potentials for design sprints: health forecasting, embracing a digital switch off, and connecting app and device with Health Monitor app to grant access. So what we're going to do is this down here below that section is something that we termed, it's an Eisenhower matrix, but it's basically has two measurements. One is impact and one is interest. On the x-axis, you have interest, and that's on your own personal interest. So if something, one of those solutions has a high level of interest, it goes to the right. If you're not so enthused and don't really care about it much, it goes to the left. Impact is for these solutions up here. Which of these do you think have the most impact in relation to the idea challenge that we're talking about? Reducing screen time and promoting a healthy lifestyle. If you look at one of these and you say that has incredible impact, I think it'll definitely have the idea or challenge, that it goes up here. And if you think it's not too much, it's kind of doesn't really do the trick, then it falls below the y-axis. So over here on the right, if you notice, we have a whole bunch of small little cards that or circles that correspond to these particular colors. Now the way this works is you're going to go in and put your name on each of these colors. So I'm going to go ahead and do it as an example. I'll go ahead and put Robert, Roberts, and last name I'll put the Roberto. I'm going to take the blue one, and this blue one corresponds to health forecasting, diet and exercise versus gaming and social media time. So I'm going to put this straight in the middle for me. I'm going to go, okay, first I'm going to measure the impact I think it's going to have when it comes to reducing screen time, promoting a healthy lifestyle. I think it's pretty on point. I think it would definitely have an impact. So I would probably put it somewhere in the middle right here. Now, in terms of my own interest with this health forecasting and kind of exploring this in the design sprint, I kind of like the idea of it. I kind of do a little bit of it, so it'd be interesting to see where people fall on it. So it's probably closer to here. So I have some interest, but not a lot. So that's where that falls. And you want to do that for each of these digital cards up here. For each, put gold, you can figure out where the embracing a digital switch off would matter in terms of its impact to the idea challenge in your own interest, and so on. Now, one thing I will say is that it's perfectly okay for your dots to go in the forget about it area, or the not interesting, or the very interesting below impact. All we're really trying to assess is what you personally think of the solution, how interested you are in it, and if you think it's going to have real impact. So there's no judgment here. It's just basically to see how everything falls from a personal standpoint. And then once we get done with that, we can take a look at the results and have a little bit of a conversation right till the end of the half hour. So go ahead, put your names on the dots over here on the right, if you haven't done so already, and start putting the dots in spaces here that correspond to your interest level. And don't feel too pressured by peer pressure or anything like that, because again, this is just through your lens. And I will go ahead and start speaking again when I see that all dots are placed. I'll go ahead and put, well, I'll take mine out because I won't kind of color the results too much. And again, if you need reference on the impact, just look at the idea challenge that was up here. In fact, I'll bring it down so you can basically, when you're thinking of that impact, where it should ideally set.
When we think about this, should we also think about feasibility from a design sprint perspective?
You can, but normally that feasibility gets worked out in when you're doing some pre-work, because then it'll reassess whether or not you may go down that path, or if the group decides to do something different. So all of this is going to be a strong suggestion for people that want to adopt it. And for the people that attended this LDJ, if they go back to their groups and you have a discussion about challenges, you can say, okay, well, I was part of the Healthy Digital Lifestyle for Children. Here's what seemed to really work, and here's why I think there's potential. So it's really the person carries forward the idea, but the mural and all of these and all all of the information on the mural will carry a certain perspective on the idea. The sea turtle's making his choice. Right. Okay, so let's take a look at this real briefly. The first thing I like to do when doing analysis of this is look in the upper right-hand side in terms of what actually came here. And it looks like the health forecasting, diet and exercise versus gaming and social media time reflected the voting that we had just done, where people felt it was something that was worth doing and I have an interest in. And there were a couple of people that were kind of like, about it. Then in terms of the next one, it's gray, is that gray and gold were kind of the same thing. There is some interest. Jason in particular felt that there was real high potential with that particular one to grant access after the health app. But a lot of other people in relation to the gray one didn't think it was that interesting, but they agree with them and it could make some impact. So between the two, the blue one seems to be on the right track, and the golden and the gray solutions have some potential, but probably need to be thought out a bit more, discussed within groups. At least that's what I'm kind of seeing here. Does anyone have any other thoughts around these results at all?
That's an accurate summary.
The only thing I would say, Robert, is that some of them still feel like they need a fair amount of discussion. So while I like the blue one quite a bit, the devil with that would definitely be in the details, whereas, for example, the gray one is much more specific. So that can tend to color how you think about how desirable it would be to pursue it or not.
True, that is very true. And I've seen some LDJs where that's been all over the map, where the more specific a certain solution is, the more people go onto it when they know, like there's certainty around it. And that could be the example with Jason, where he says, he understands it at face value and seeing the impact it has. But the interest is probably the most there.
Heck, I might try it with my kid.
There you go. Okay, any other comments?
I was going to say, from my perspective, like the gray one seems interesting, but I might have a very particular vision of it, and I'd be kind of curious to hear what everybody else's vision of it is. Like it's openly vague, and going back to what another person said about that conversation, like they're vague, and I'd like to hear what people's visions of there are, and that might very well change where these different dots fit on this grid.
Okay. Okay, cool. So then the final thing is just to get some feedback from the group on this process. I know some of you, this is the first time going through this Lightning Decision Jam online virtually. I'd love to hear what your first impressions are. They can be like simple words, simple phrases, sound effects if you want. But give me an idea of how you felt about the process, anything that sticks out in your mind in terms of what you could improve. I'd love to hear your thoughts if you have them.
Have you ever watched the movie Tarzan, like the animated one?
Yes.
You know the scene where they trash the camp, right?
Yes, I do. Yeah.
That's entirely what it feels like. In the beginning, it's like one or two people are kind of doing things, but over time, as you do it together, it like comes together and it totally makes sense at the end of it. And you get like something really cool and wonderful as you kind of work through it, and everybody kind of finds their role.
Cool.
Yeah, for me, it was the first time, and I'm pretty impressed about how effective and efficient it can be in just 1 hour and a half. Also, putting together people that get to meet for the first time in a completely different topic. I took a lot of notes for myself, actually, and a lot of positive comments. And also, yeah, maybe something from the facilitation side. I really observed how skilled, Robert, you are in moving from a task to another in the mural as well. No, that's true. So I think, I think a big role for the facilitator is really to ensure this smoothness along the process. So, having everything set, to the importance of having a mural pretty set and well thought of before, and also moving the attention of participants as we go to the right areas, really remove frictions is something that I noticed that you did very well. Yeah, very happy. Super cool.
Cool. Yeah, and I'm standing on the shoulder of a giant called Sandy Lamb when it comes to this design. This is all her making with a little bit of like peppering of like suggestions from me. But this is, you're going to see her work in the Global Virtual Design Sprint as well. But I have a lot to be grateful for with her.
Nice.
You know, I really like the approach of using the cursors to show affinity, like in that the potential slider that you had.
Mm-hmm.
I hadn't used that approach before. That was pretty cool. I like that.
The thing I've heard before in previous sessions is that I have to be watch out for visual bias. Like people will see arrows and change their mind if they see like a group of people going in a particular direction. That's why you heard me being a little bit more verbose around the impact interest scale, so that it was okay to put something in the lower left and kind of say chuck it because it just wasn't you. That's totally fine, because there's going to be groups that are going to be adopting this wholesale, and that's probably what's going to matter the most.
I wonder if there's a way to. So we can hide cursors, right?
Yes, I believe so.
Yeah, I think you can. I've tried it, and I don't know. Sometimes it seems to be not as effective as other times, but hiding all the cursors, making people make a choice, and then turning the cursors back on might be a way to remove that bias.
I'll make a note and kind of put that in for next time, because we're going to be doing a couple more tomorrow. So I'll make.
Yeah, let me know how that works. Be curious to know.
Okay.
Because sometimes I think when you remove it, I feel like it only removes it for yourself and not for others.
Yeah.
As an admin, but.
Okay, so we're at time. What I want to do as like a final activity is I want you to get something in your within reach, a personal item of some type, and we're going to be doing a group photo that we're going to be using to kind of celebrate the fact that we did a session together. So I'm going to turn on the lights because it's about to storm out and it's getting dark in here. So I'm going to illuminate, and I'm going to get something on that side of the house over there to showcase. So give me a second. All right, here we go. So everyone grab an item of yours. I know, Ken, you're running out of items because you've been going at these for a while. There you go. I get prepared. Right. Okay, there's mine. Dramatic. There you go. All right, we got a football helmet. We've got a carry-on. We got, I don't have these. Wait a minute. Be away you got there. Looks like you have like a graph. There you go. You can put it, yeah, you can put it right. Oh, there you go. And then we want there. There's ruler. There's a guitar. We got it covered. Okay, you ready? On a count of three, or a smile. 1, 2, 3. Smile. All right. Cool. We're good. Thank you very much for joining the session. Hopefully it was fun for you. I really enjoyed the topic because it's something that, as a parent, matters to me a lot. If you have any feedback after the fact, feel free to find me in Slack, send me an email, whatever you'd like to kind of tell me about the things that you think would improve it. And until then, I hope all of you have a wonderful day, evening, whatever you're going to be doing. Make sure you're happy. And group wave, everybody. See you later.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
Thanks all. See you later.
Facilitating.
Very much.
All right,
Bye,
take care.
guys.
Bye-bye.
Bye.